it. Oh, there we go.
All right, we're rolling.
There's
All
a
right.
lot to unpack here.
Okay, that was a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. And that is a
Yeah.
compliment to that. We just saw Free Guy. We're a little late to this one. This has been out for a while, has it not?
I think like at least 2 weeks it's been out.
Yeah,
3 weeks.
Because we usually wait like a week anyways. You know, I think every movie we've seen has usually been out like a week. But then you were sick or busy?
I was like sick with something, I don't know what, and I couldn't go. And then first week of school started, and I had a lot going on. So
we're playing catch up here. But yeah, we saw Free Guy. I really like this, and I can tell you really enjoyed this.
Yes, I love this. I was fangirling quite a bit during this film.
You were literally like raising your hands.
Yeah, I was like,
in this
woo!
movie.
Once they started making all like the weapon references.
That's okay because there were a lot of people in this theater doing that. This was a fun movie.
This is
a very fun movie.
I want to preface this by saying that, about a month ago when we went to see Old, I said that was one of my absolute least favorite movies of 2021. This is the exact opposite of that. Yeah. This is one of my absolute favorite movies of 2021.
Yeah, this is a really great movie. I can't say it'll be one of my favorites of the year. But this is definitely something that like I was very surprised by this, and it's well, first let me just start off.
There's still a lot to unpack.
Yeah. If you haven't, the concept of this movie is Ryan Reynolds plays an NPC inside of a open world
MMORPG
style. MMORPG.
Well, maybe not RPG. It's not technically. Well, actually, I guess it's technically role playing.
Yeah, I'm not the gamer, so
yeah. I think this would be MMORPG.
Yeah, it's basically something kind of like Grand Theft Auto, where Grand
Theft Auto Online.
People live to play criminals in a game, and Ryan Reynolds' character is the NPC of a victim. A bank teller that is being robbed at a bank that is being robbed multiple times a day. And I thought there was a really funny joke where he's like, "Did you see the girl at the robbery today? The 12:30 robbery? No, the 4:15 robbery or whatever times it was he was saying." Like and it makes me think a lot of like Lego Movie in that regard, where all these characters are kind of programmed into this world to have one job and do that thing all the time and not be bored with the mundane and repetitiveness of it. Right. But what happens is the main character ends up being this wrench thrown into it, who he's an sentient, but he basically becomes sentient, does he not? And
a hyper-intelligent artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and ends up falling in love with one of the real life players in the game. I don't know who that actress was.
I know they showed it at the end.
And I don't recognize the name.
Jodie Comer, I think is her name.
It was something like probably. Yeah. I just don't know who that is. Yeah. And he falls in love with this playable character being played by the girl in the real world. And it gets a lot more intricate and complicated, and it really levels. There's levels to this story.
There's levels to this story.
Yeah, video game puns. Where she, and so basically she was a game designer herself in real life, and her idea and her partner's idea, played by that guy,
Joe Keery.
Yeah, he's like a Stranger Things actor, isn't he?
Yeah, he was in Stranger Things. He recently had his own horror movie, Spree, on Netflix, which I have yet to see, but still want to see. Yeah. It's one of those, it's shot, via Instagram live stream style thing, but it's a guy who, pretty much is committing crimes and murders for views. And it's a whole commentary on that deal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the two of them designed a video game. What was it exactly called that they designed?
I think it was
the program or something.
It was a code.
Yeah, the code that this game that Ryan Reynolds' character's in is based on a code that these two characters came up with that was stolen by Taika Waititi, who in this movie plays probably my favorite villain I've seen in a movie all year. I would love to see Taika Waititi get a Best Supporting Actor nomination for this movie.
He is so good at playing goofy villains.
Playing this campy, maniacal, toxic video game company, video game head CEO, which is honestly pretty realistic if you've been following a lot of like the gaming news in places like Blizzard, and not even just in the gaming world, but like YouTube and like the really shitty way that like YouTube treats a lot of YouTubers.
Oh yeah.
Knocking their channels just for bullcrap reasons, like content and copyright strikes that are usually bogus. You know, it attacks that. This movie attacks that.
Oh yeah.
And
speaking of YouTube, can we talk about the amount of actual YouTubers they had in this movie?
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's explain more of the movie. We're still just breaking down this very elaborate. So basically what happens is the girl there, she's trying to prove that Taika Waititi stole the code that this game is based on. And she does that with the help of Free Guy, who as this movie goes through as the movie goes on is starting to discover this independence and this freedom of choice and this consciousness, kind of like what Jim Carrey went through in The Truman Show, which is another movie I've seen a lot of people compare this to.
And so on steroids.
Yeah. Truman Show on like Ready Player mixed with like Ready Player One. And of course Taika Waititi's character, the main bad guy in this, is on to them and is basically using all his influence to stop them from revealing this. So you have, and that's where the stakes in this story come from, is this guy is in control and can do anything to screw them up. Like, it was tense in those scenes too. It was tense in those scenes, and it was hilarious in the scenes that were funny.
Oh yeah.
This is a very funny movie. Like, there's some great action scenes in this, but the comedy is like my favorite part. Funniest part for me in this movie is probably the Channing Tatum scene. This movie just has like a scene in it where they, in order to find like the location of where this scene is, we're like, what is it, that setting, that island?
Yeah, the island, and they're trying to get the data file.
That they're trying to say that, okay, that this is their proof, where their proof is that this idea was stolen. They have to get that from a guy who, and I didn't quite understand how he had it. Yeah,
I want to say like the stash house was like a, what do you call them? God, I'm a gamer, I should know this. It's like a place that your character can obtain, I guess. So I guess this character was able to obtain this house and all the gear in it, or was using it as a safe house. Yeah. And I think that's pretty much basically
because he was basically, because he had somehow seen it from like a glitch or something. This was my only one of my few complaints with this movie, is there was a couple of bits of the plot that I didn't feel were completely explained to me. I guess because it's a very chaotic film. Yeah. There's a lot going on constantly.
And a lot of it is definitely geared towards people who have either been in the game industry or are relatively familiar with how gaming software operates.
Yeah. So they find out that that this island from the game they originally designed, that Taika Waititi character bought and ripped off. They find out that this other gamer has somehow seen that and has like the footage of it. Yeah. And what's hilarious is the guy's avatar. He's this regular geek living with his mom, and had like the funniest line. And he's like,
played by another guy who was in Stranger Things.
Yeah. Oh, that guy is too.
Yeah.
Okay. That was like who's living with his mom, And his avatar is played by Channing Tatum, who just shows up.
I mean, that is just
and is constantly dancing.
It's one of the most real flippin' things.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Oh, it was so... Yeah, it's such a funny scene. There's lots of funny stuff in this movie.
And just so much commentary.
Mm-hmm.
So much commentary.
Yeah, because it really makes fun. It's a movie that really makes fun of this industry, like makes fun of the really bad parts of this industry, like the toxic fan culture, like talking about like how, he's playing this game. They're talking about how like as Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds character, is becoming sentient and learning to make his own decisions, he's not doing things in the same way everyone else is, which everyone else is playing this game just to commit crimes and destroy stuff. And they're like, he's playing this game to be the hero. And it's kind of making fun of, this very ugly gamer culture.
Yeah.
That is just terrible online, and online community as a whole is terrible.
It's honestly the whole reason why I personally stray away from MMORPGs or, games that just have a lot of people on the server at the same time, because it's usually overrun with assholes.
Yeah. I'm not
I can't deal with that.
I'm not a gamer, but that exactly is the reason why I'm not on social media.
Yeah, like I've seen how bad it can get on there.
And
you don't want to go there.
It makes fun of that. It makes fun of the terrible heads of the industry. It makes fun of the terrible people who play this stuff. And it's a movie definitely for gamers, but it can be enjoyed by anyone. I enjoyed this movie. Oh gosh, what was something else we really is there anything more we need in this movie to unpack or explain? But
they find the island.
Yeah,
they get the proof, and they're able to make their game.
Yeah, of course. But now we can talk about what you were going to do about all the cameos in this film.
Yes.
You probably know a lot more of these people by name than I do.
So I definitely knew 3 of them. I know there were still like maybe only like a limited amount of YouTubers they used in it, but the 3 main ones that stuff were obviously Jacksepticeye.
I know because I recognize his voice.
And this guy's been buds with Ryan Reynolds since Deadpool came out, so I'm not surprised that he made it into film, but I'm also extremely happy he made it into the film. Then Dan TDM, who was the guy with the blue hair.
Okay.
And then Pokimane, who is kind of a bit of a controversial
I had heard that
gamer.
Just recently. Like within the last week, I saw some kind of news story pop up about her.
Yeah, she has been a bit controversial, so I'm I guess they brought her in there because they needed a female gamer in there. I don't know.
This movie's old. This movie's old. And because this movie was one of the ones they held on to because of COVID. And you know it's old because you know who else makes a cameo in this? Alex Trebek.
Yes.
So that's how you know it's old.
Yes, that's like,
he's been gone for a while now.
Even old stuff like Pokimane's controversy, I think, has been like a bit before that. Kind of wish they had used like other gamers like iHas Cupquake, who are less problematic.
I also recognize the Ninja guy. Ninja. That is who that was, right? The one guy? I assume that's who that is.
I'm going to take your word for it because I don't remember. I was too focused on like Jacksepticeye and Dan TDM.
Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I don't.
I'm sure if I saw it, I could probably.
I think that's who that one guy was.
I think you might be right.
Because again, I kind of recognize the voice too.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Yeah.
And then of course, just the barrage of video game references, especially during that one last fight segment. Scene.
Okay, everybody's probably seen that part about the character, the dude character, where it's Ryan Reynolds' head photoshopped on a dude who looks like he lives at the gym. Yeah,
and has like a shirt, the blue shirt.
The blue shirt is the icon throughout the entire movie. Because,
and then it has like, boxers that say game over peeking out from his khakis.
There's a fight scene in that, and as this fight scene goes on, it is the weapons that Ryan Reynolds keeps pulling out is references not only to other video games, like the portal gun and the anti-gravity gun.
Yeah, that's from Half-Life.
Half-Life. But also a lightsaber, which... I don't know where... This wasn't a Disney film, was it?
I don't know, because they use a lot of Disney
licensed stuff, like the...
Because that romance theme that plays when Free Guy and Millie are together... First of all, I just want to say that's one of my absolute favorite scores, and that's from a Disney short called Paperman.
Huh.
And when I heard, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm gonna have to look up later what company this
just with
movie's
the
from.
Avengers and that theme leads me to believe that this is might be no, you know why? Because Disney owns 20th Century Fox, and this is a 20th Century
you're
Fox
right.
film.
That makes
So
that's exactly how they got it. But yeah, he pulls out a lightsaber, and when he goes to when the dude goes to punch Ryan Reynolds, he hits shield, and of course it spins around, and it's a Captain America shield.
And then Chris Evans is watching.
Then it cuts away to like the stream of it, and it's Chris Evans sitting in a coffee shop just going, "What the shit?"
And then he comes in with the Hulk fist.
Yeah.
And then like the last thing that it was like about the third thing he used was that Fortnite unicorn rainbow
I recognize
hammer.
that thing. I recognize that thing.
It was like, oh my god.
This is a crazy movie. This is a really fun. I enjoyed this a lot. It is a little bit too much of a good thing at times, and like I said, there are a little bit of the plot that I couldn't quite follow, and a couple of things where I'm like, okay, wait, what was just said? Like, what are they talking? And then I'm like, oh, okay, I had to catch myself up some.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, I'll tell you right now, it's everything that Ready Player One almost was, and it's also the kind of movie that Adam Sandler's Pixels wasn't even close to being. Did you ever see either of those?
I almost saw Ready Player One, and then I guess I got distracted by other stuff, and I did not want to sit through Pixels.
Pixels is dreadful.
Good. I'm glad that I made the decision not to.
As you can probably go and tell, Pixels is dreadful. Ready Player One, I was really kind of into until you realize you get to an ending that you get to 2 or 3 endings. With Ready Player One was a movie that was overly plotted. It was so overly plotted, and it felt like they shot like an ending and then an alternate ending and decided to use both of them. There was too much. It was too much in the last 30 minutes, and that was where Ready Player One. And the thing about a bad ending, I can forgive a bad beginning to a movie easier than I can forgive a bad ending. Because the ending is what I leave with, and if I leave with the worst part, that's the part that's going to affect me this, and that's what happened with Ready Player One. I was kind of really disappointed with Ready Player One because of that.
I feel that.
But I really liked this movie. This is a fun film. This is definitely a fun, full-on box office smash of a film. Like it's understandable why that this has been as like wasn't this again or maybe Candyman, I think. But I think until this past weekend, it was like the highest grossing film every week it's been out. I think Candyman surpassed it this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like this. This is a fun movie. There's not a lot.
It's rare that I sit through a comedy movie and smile the whole time.
Yeah.
I was smiling the whole time.
It's always in a good spirit. It's never cynical. It
is wholesome.
Yeah,
it's so wholesome.
It's a very feel-good movie, and it even makes fun of that, because there's even like a scene where Ryan Reynolds is talking about, he's like, you want to hear a joke? And then he's like,
oh yeah, and he's like really offensive.
It's like really offensive. It's like a homosexual and a handicapped guy. And they walk into
spoken by some asshole on the internet.
And she's like, where did you hear this joke? And he's like, from one of the guys that came in robbing the bank, which of course are these toxic internet game players. And she's like, you shouldn't repeat things that you hear from the what did she call them?
Internet trolls.
The internet trolls. He's like, oh, and he's like, oh my god, trolls are real.
More than you believe, guy.
Yeah, because she's talking about the Taika Waititi guy, the guy head of the company at one point, and she's like he's the one in charge here, and he's a dick, and he's like, you're talking about God? You've met God, and he's a dick. Oh my god, it's so funny.
It's so good.
Oh,
and, Ryan Reynolds' character of Guy, the whole time I was watching, I'm like, this is kind of like watching Ryan Reynolds' take on Buddy the Elf, on Will Ferrell's Buddy the Elf, because his character is just so wholesome and so likable.
And I like that, lovable. And I'm glad it was that, because I was very worried when this movie, when they were just advertising this movie, I was very worried this was just going to be Deadpool, because I feel like now everything Ryan Reynolds does now has to have something to do with Deadpool. And I'm just like, and not only that, but I feel like the whole video game movie thing is something that's been done to death. You know, we had Guns Akimbo last year with Daniel Radcliffe, which sucked. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
No.
And before that, we had a couple years ago Hardcore Henry, which was god awful.
Haven't seen that either.
Oh god, that entire movie was shot from the standpoint of a stuntman on like a GoPro, and it's disorienting. It's It's nauseating. The entire dramas and scenes and dialogues all feel like bad cutscenes out of a video game. It was one of the worst movies I watched in 2016.
Well, I'm glad I've watched this movie first, because now my bar for like quality is super high.
Yeah. Dang it, where was I at?
Talking about like it being like Deadpool.
Yeah, I was very worried it was going to be like Deadpool,
which is
too much like Deadpool, and too much like other video game inspired action films that we've gotten. It didn't. This movie sets itself apart. Like this movie, this isn't like the other video. Like this isn't like any other video game movie, except maybe Scott Pilgrim, which for me is still the kingpin. Like this movie's not Scott Pilgrim, but it is very, very good. I'd give this one a 3 out of 4.
And it's funny you mentioned the Deadpool thing before I give my score. Because when they were showing that player that was controlling Channing Tatum, there was a Deadpool poster in the background.
I saw that too.
I'm like, okay, I was expecting it, and I'm like, yes, the one reference. But yeah, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 4.
Oh really? Yeah.
I liked it that much.
How excited you were getting at the end. I was thinking you were going to give this probably a perfect score.
I mean, like it did feel a bit of a slow go in the beginning, like the beginning. Kind of, I guess.
That was one of the reasons why I probably didn't put it like a 3.5.
Yeah, this is one of those instances where the beginning,
the exposition
didn't get me as much, but then as the film went on, I started loving it more.
Once it takes off, it explodes like that. It takes off and it doesn't come back down.
Yes.
I just had a couple problems with like kind of keeping up with certain things and figuring things. Like I still don't understand that whole thing with the guy and who had that code thing. I still don't completely understand what happened there. I'd have to rewatch it.
Yeah, if I had to like make an inference about what happened there, is that the guy probably found the stash house, said, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and overtake and store all and take all this cool stuff. He probably acquired the stash house by leveling up and getting in there, and that's probably how I imagine.
Yeah. There really isn't a whole lot else to talk about. Like this isn't like Green Knight where it has to be analyzed.
This is something that just needs to be experienced.
It's an experience. It's a really fun film. I guess if I don't think there's really much else to talk about with this. We can, I guess, do trailers now, and we'll call it early tonight.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about trailers, because we finally got it. I've been telling you. Dune, my movie of the year. I am so ready for this.
So what did you think of the trailer? Because this is all you.
I love this trailer. I watched it when it first came out, because they'd only had like one trailer for over a year, because it was supposed to come out last Christmas. Which is funny because, last Christmas was the first Christmas in 6 years where we didn't have a Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that Dune was supposed to take that spot, but they've done pushed it now to this October because of COVID, and they announced that last fall. But yeah, this trailer, I want to see what you think, because is that your first time watching this Dune trailer? This is the second one. This is the most recent one they had.
This is the first time I've seen this Dune trailer, and it looks cool. Now, I am obviously not versed at all in the universe, the books or the universe of Dune.
I've only recently gotten to the books.
But from an outsider's perspective, looking at this trailer, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am super excited. Well, one thing you should be excited for is it has a really smart guy behind it, Denis Villeneuve.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm saying his name right finally. I think Denis Villeneuve, I think is how you say his name. But he's the guy who did the Blade Runner sequel a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he did Arrival with Amy Adams, which were both his sci-fi. But yeah, he was the one who started out doing like psychological thrillers and stuff. Like he did Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal. He did Prisoners, which is like probably the best missing person thriller I've ever seen in my life with Hugh Jackman. Yeah, he's a fantastic director. I don't think I've seen a single movie. I wasn't real big on Sicario. I was one of the few people who didn't really think all that much of Sicario. But I've loved just about every movie. Yeah, but yeah, I love this book it's based on. I love the director who's making its work. I love the lead actor, Timothée Chalamet. I think everybody can't get enough of him right now.
I know, he's in everything.
He's getting in everything now.
I think in October, we're going to be seeing 2 movies with Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, because he's going to be in Wes Anderson's next. Yeah, the French Dispatch. Yeah. I'm so ready for Dune. We got Dune. Then we got, what was the trailer after
The Last Duel.
Yes, The Last Duel. I'm ready for that too.
Now, you seem to know more about this than I do. What is the general story? Because I can only pick up pieces.
It's loosely, I think it's at least loosely based on a true story. It's Ridley Scott's latest movie. This is one of 2 movies of Ridley Scott's, because this was one that was supposed to come out last year.
And I hope I'm right that he's the guy that did Alien, right?
Alien, Blade Runner, awesome. Gladiator, Thelma and Louise.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Last Duel it's loosely based on a true story. And it is about, in medieval France, a woman was raped by a man, and he basically accused her of lying, and she was under oath when she said that. And back at that time, lying under oath was,
get you burned at the stake.
It was punishable by death in medieval France, and so her husband challenged him, the man who she accused of rape, to I forget exactly what they call it, judicial duel or something. And it was the last time this was ever done in France before it was finally, I guess, outlawed. I haven't looked. I want to watch the movie. I don't want to read too deep into the story and spoil the movie.
Yeah.
But it's basically about the duel and how basically she sums it up in that one line. He's like, I'm betting my life on you. She's like, you're betting my life to save your pride, because that's what it is. It isn't just that she was violated; it's that he's been disgraced.
So this is a very timely,
very intricate, very timely. This looks really great. Like Ridley Scott, almost always I've loved every movie. I love Ridley Scott. And the other movie he's going to be making this year is House of Gucci, the one with Lady Gaga, which is also going to have Adam Driver in it.
He's in everything too. And Timothy.
He's Adam Driver. I guarantee will be one of our Oscar nominees this year, because he's got like 3 movies this year. I watched Annette on Amazon, and he's fantastic in that. It's a like an English language opera that he's in with Marion Cotillard. It's a weird movie. It's about the guy who did Holy Motors. If you've ever seen that. Holy Motors is cool. It's very artsy, but it's cool. It's a really cool movie. But yeah, Annette, he was in Annette, and then he's also going to be in Last Duel and House of Gucci. He'll probably get an Oscar nomination for one of those 3.
I mean, he's gotta.
Yeah.
He's got so many chances at this point.
But yeah, so Dune, Last Duel, Encanto, the animated Disney film, and that
Encanto,
that's one that they've. I think that was one that also got pushed back because of COVID. I think that was supposed to come out last year.
Yeah, and that looks like a fun film.
It looks like it looks like it might be their next Moana.
Yeah, and it's I think it's like the basic story of that seems like something that people have tried to be pushing for a while. A person who is just flat out ordinary, living amongst a family of very extraordinary people. Yeah, because I mean that tends to happen in real life. The
trailer we got didn't go real deep into what the movie's about, but from what I gather, it's about a girl in I don't know if it's named in the movie or if it's a fictional Latin American country.
It might be. Knowing Disney, probably.
Yeah, she lives in a house in it's a very Latin American influence, you can tell. And she lives in a house with, I guess, her family who all have X-Men powers. Yeah. And she's ordinary, but
it's like Umbrella Academy if it weren't so depressing.
Yeah, and it has music by Lin-Manuel Miranda,
Mhm.
which was also like Moana, which is why I immediately thought it even kind of looks a little bit like Moana. And then once it's the Lin-Manuel Miranda
It's got the same
thing
like
popped
character
up, I'm
facial
like,
structures.
yeah, I'm like, okay, like this one, I want to see this.
Yeah, it looks cute. It looks
I
fun.
watched Raya and the Last Dragon earlier this year.
Also, it's like the first female lead that is like not super skinny and wears glasses.
Oh yeah.
Which is like something that Disney has not done in a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's my alarm.
That's okay.
Tell me I need to drink water.
Okay. But yeah, I watched Raya and the Last Dragon earlier this year, which was the most recent Disney anime film. That one I thought was fine. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it was fine.
Yeah, I haven't watched it because obviously I don't have Disney Plus because I
think it's available now somewhere. I think on like rental, Redbox. You can maybe rent it on Amazon or iTunes.
Yeah.
I think.
Though I'm gonna admit I don't really have much desire to see. I'm not as much of an avid Disney watcher as
it's
I
not
used
one of their.
to
It's
be.
not like I said. It's not one of their best ones. It's a little bit like a lesser How to Train Your Dragon a little bit. And
and I'd heard very kind of mediocre reviews.
It's fine.
About it.
Okay, it kind of gets brought down with the fact that they got Awkwafina to voice the dragon. You know, there's a reason Toothless in How to Train Your Dragon didn't talk. And it's because he might have been annoying if he did. And that's kind of what happens here in Raya.
Yeah, and that's also kind of like Disney, I guess, taking a step backward because, like, when they did Tangled, they started realizing, hey, all these animal sidekicks don't have to talk.
They don't have to talk.
So, like, from then on,
and I really
they did
Tangled.
away with that. Because, like, Pascal didn't talk, Maximus didn't talk, none of the animals in Frozen talked.
I don't think any of the animals in Pocahontas talked, did they?
No, none of the animals in Pocahontas talked. I mean, like, they communicated via gestures, which is what, you know, also Cricket didn't talk in Mulan. Mushu was like...
You're right.
Mushu had an excuse because he was a magical being. Well, then I guess, again, the dragon in Raya and the Last Dragon that now has an excuse,
the thing about the Raya and the Last Dragon one is it's Awkwafina, and, you know, if you've ever seen her in, like, in regular movies, you know, she's one of these actors that they just the director just lets ramble, and she does that. Like, when they first introduce her character, her dragon character, later on in the movie, she's sitting there, and it feels like she's almost trying to do the Robin Williams genie thing, where she's just like sitting there going and going and going and going, except she don't have that capacity that Robin Williams did as a performer.
Not to mention, Robin could do improv and impressions on a dime.
Yeah, this is just Awkwafina being Awkwafina. Luckily, once they start getting into her story and kind of start building her interiority and her feelings, and like you realize she has this really sad story going on.
Yeah,
I'm like,
as
okay,
most Disney characters do.
It picks up a lot of that, but it started to come down for me. But then Raya and the Last Dragon was fine. And Encanto, I want to see Encanto.
Yeah,
Encanto looks promising.
It does look good.
And then the last one we got was Eternals.
Yes, and you know, and again, coming from someone who is not a big fan of Marvel. Not that I don't like Marvel, it's not something I've gotten into. It looked cool.
I'm interested in Eternals solely because of who they're getting to make it, and it's Chloe Zhao, who just won, you know, this is the first, like, I even leaned over to you when the trailer came on, and it says, from Academy Award winning director Chloe Zhao, and I'm like, that is the first time they have ever been able to tout that, because most of their directors have never won an Academy Award. None of them, I don't think, have. But now they've got a Best Picture winner, you know, because she directed Nomadland. So that's what I think's interesting is I want to see what she does with a Marvel film, because she's not like any of these. She's not like a Jon Favreau, you know, who did Iron Man, or any director. And she's an art film director.
And honestly, that kind of came through in this trailer. You can tell this is not your average Marvel movie.
There were a couple of shots that kind of reminded me a little bit of like the shots and stuff like The Rider and Nomadland. There were a couple of shots where the cameras, I'm like, they weren't very long for me to really analyze it and look at it and see, but it does look like there's like a couple of shots that are kind of doing like moving in a way that the camera moved in like her other movies.
Yeah, and just even the feel you get from these characters feels very much like how she directed her characters in Nomadland.
I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what she does with a Marvel film.
Also, that scene where he asks if the table is made of vibranium and then smashes it. It's like, no, it's the fall collection from IKEA.
Yeah. That's funny.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, there was somebody else who I thought was going to be directing a Marvel movie. Oh, Sam Raimi is going to do Doctor Strange 2, last thing I heard. Oh, yeah, I'm ready for that. Yeah. Yeah, Sam Raimi.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be his first movie in, I think, 6-7 years at least. Because I think the last movie he did was that really bad Poltergeist remake. I don't think he's made another movie since then. And it'll be his first superhero movie since Spider-Man 3.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's coming back to the superhero genre. Yeah. Hail to the king, baby. Hail to the king. Yeah. Yeah.
Groovy.
Yeah. Yep. Sam Raimi. Yeah, he's an American treasure, Sam Raimi.
Hey, maybe he'll bring Bruce Campbell into the cast.
I would love that. Bruce Campbell as a cameo in Doctor Strange 2. Yes, please.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
We're done here.
And I guess for this month, what do we have? We have Candyman tomorrow.
Well, you and I will probably do Candyman tomorrow, and maybe the people we see it with, we'll see if they want to do a video too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we have so far for September. I'm not sure of any other movies that are coming out that are of interest in September.
I'm
aware of any.
Yeah. I may ask a buddy of mine if he wants to go see The Card Counter, if that's playing somewhere. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I just know that The Card Counter is one that I want to see. Have you seen the trailer for that yet?
No.
It's Paul Schrader's next movie, and he's the guy who wrote the screenplay for Taxi Driver way back in the day.
So it's going to be one of those types of
Well,
films.
no. It not entirely. I looked at the trailer. It don't look like it's going to be extraordinarily violent. It looks like it's going to be, it's got Oscar Isaac in it.
So he's kind of toned down a bit.
Yeah, it's got Oscar. Well, his last film was very toned down. His last film was that movie called First Reformed with Ethan Hawke, which was about a preacher.
I didn't see that one.
It was great. It was one of my favorite movies that year. Yeah, but yeah, he's making a movie. It's got Oscar Isaac, Ty Sheridan, and Tiffany Haddish doing like kind of a serious role. I don't know if maybe she'll kind of have maybe some funny bits and pieces here and there, but like look up the trailer for it. It looks like it looks interesting. It reminds me a lot of Hard 8 by Paul Thomas Anderson, which was his very first movie with John C. Reilly. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of that. So I'm interested in seeing that.
And then October. That's where
the
film
everything.
landfall.
That's where we're getting everything. We're getting James Bond. We're getting Dune. We're getting Halloween. I think we get Last Night in Soho finally. Then I think, and those are what other horror movies we get. That I think. Don't we get Malignant?
Yeah, Malignant.
That's maybe this month or something.
Oh, this month?
That's maybe I think this month.
Okay, then we have another movie to go to this month.
Yeah, and remind me to tell you something about Malignant later that we don't need to discuss on camera. But there's something about Malignant I want to ask you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess.
And then Wes Anderson's French Dispatch too.
Yeah, we'll look in that one too.
That's 5 movies we got.
There's plenty of stuff coming out. All right, I guess we can go ahead and go here. I've even had people complain on like places where I've promoted my videos saying that it's ridiculous how long these go.
It's reviews. Reviews go long.
Oh, good gracious.
Look at any of like Lindsay Ellis's videos. They go longer than this.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and go. All right, let's see you. Bye.
Bye.